Well, let's bring in the Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Mr. Itakpe-Warri. He joins us right here. Good morning, sir.
Yeah,
good to
morning.
see you.
Great to see you.
Nice. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, you know, there is the issue of the roads that we're dealing with, but that's none of your business. You're here for the rail. It's another form of alternative transportation. But I remember that there was a report we're all waiting for in terms of the Warri Itakpe incident. But maybe you walk us through that as a preliminary conversation.
Okay, good morning. Let me say that once again, we want to express our sympathy for those who lost loved ones and those who were injured in that incident. We promised there will be a report from us, and also the rule of law, the extant law, also expected a report from the NSIB, which I believe is the ultimate. So what we have done is to give a plan report of in-house investigation. Before the establishment of the NSIB, we used to do our own reports and release it, and that was all. We do all that. But now with NSIB, what we can only issue is a preliminary in-house report, which we have done. And what the report tells us is that just like many mechanical, electromechanical equipments that moves on the road, in the air, on the waters, there could be issues. And in this case, there was an issue. And that was what we have found out, that while the train was en route, it possibly developed a bogie/wheel defect. And what that means, and if you watch what I've been seeing online and in many newspapers, is not what we reported. The development aspect was removed from the report, en route was removed. And in this kind of reporting, we want to appeal to the media to report exactly what was reported as the report. So what we reported was that what actually possibly happened was, while the train went from Itakpe-Warri to Itakpe. On the return trip, the next day, the train, at the approach of Owa-Oyibo, between Owa-Oyibo and Owa-Alero, these are two towns in Delta, they heard there was a shake, and the next thing they heard was bam. There was a derailment. And derailment occurs. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, there were 2 consecutive derailments in London, back to back. And when that happened, the next thing, people moved around to rescue. They found some of the coaches not only derailed, they capsized. So the investigators went. They did 7 classes of investigation: personal interview, transect study, moving around the whole track, and so many. Also did mechanical checks and the rest, examined the coaches, examined the accident, they did drawings and did calculations. And they came to the fact that along that area where the incident occurred, you know, there was speculation, possible vandalism. There was no vandalism. The point where it occurred was intact. However, for a train to wobble, just like the one in London last week, to wobble before the derailment, the first place you go and check is the bogie and the wheel. The bogie is like the chassis, the wheels are like the tires. And what was found out was that the wobbling, the shaking, the whatever people describe it, must have come as a result of a defect that occurred while going. Now, when that happened, what could have caused train to capsize, completely, and then push each other? The suspicion was also that the brake system, you can either do normal braking, and you can also do emergency braking. In this case, it looks like it was an emergency braking, because that's what could have caused the poor and the one from the back hit the one. What do
you call it? Is it the rider, the person who drives the train? What do they call him? The pilot.
Call him a driver, call him a pilot.
The person is alive, right?
He's alive, yeah.
So, but at least
no, there was nothing wrong with the coach. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about the application of brakes, whether it was sudden or aggressive or emergency. So, did you get a testimonial from him as to what form of brake he applied?
Don't let me go into the details of all that is contained in the big report. But let me tell you, there are things that when you see, you start taking 1, 2, 3, 4, and you start the investigation. The driver will never tell you whether he used
emergency.
He will just say it happened suddenly. But however,
okay,
the issues with some of our own equipment is that, assuming our equipment, like in the previous one, have on board recorders. You can then go to the onboard recorder and then detect whether the minute where the exact time the conversation from the two drivers, hey, so unfortunately our trains don't have this kind of capacity. That will have given some of the thing. I can give you an example. When we bought simulators for Lagos driving school, when we went for the pre-ship inspection, I tried the test of brake. I failed. Then they told me calm down. After I calmed down, they said I should go back, and I passed. So what we're saying in this case is that the important thing is that the investigation has given us further understanding of issues that we need to work on. Much more importantly, it has also given us more information as to issues of wheels. Assuming you change your wheel at a particular time or at certain level, we now increase the standards for which we used to benchmark when the wheel should be changed. And when the driver is wobbling, the appropriate thing for the driver to do is to just slightly slow down and leave the truck. But these guys are under trauma. The trauma of that 2022 bombing is still there, where a train got bombed, and after the bombing, people were still attacked by government.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so many questions to throw at you. So if they are still on that trauma, why entrust them with the lives and destinies of many Nigerians? That's question one. Two, there are those who will say, if you're familiar with driving, for instance, before the engine will give you signals if you pay attention to it before it will eventually pack. So there are those who are criticizing the NRC for, issues around maintenance culture. They say perhaps you and your team didn't pay attention to your equipment, and that's why it got to where it got to. Question three, what is it about Warri and Itakpe axis? Every time.
No,
do we have to go and...
No. It's not every time.
Well, maybe not every time, but it's always in the news.
Kelly, with due respect.
It's always in the news for wrong reasons. I don't know why.
I think, seriously speaking, accidents occur all over the world. Accidents occur in the air, on the tarmac, on the train, and for records, we have seen less derailment in the NRC in 2025 than we saw in 2024. We have data, we have records. And there are also data and records for derailments all over the world. You can take time after this interview to Google. Now, when accidents occur, some are severe, some are just minor. Derailment ordinarily should be a minor incident. But when derailment gets to the fatality stage, or gets to the injury stage, or gets to the capsizing stage, it becomes a serious incident. Now, on the issue of maintenance, the issue here is something developed while in motion. We just recently had an aircraft that veered off. We've had the one from Dana. I don't let me mention brands that have veered off. They would happen. It is when investigation comes, they will tell you what happened. So if there are culpability, investigation from NSIB is the one that will determine that. For those that we need to train and retrain, we will continue to train. And these are systems all over the world. It is not peculiar to our system. Now, maintenance culture. We talk maintenance culture so much in Nigeria. There is nobody that will put a car, even your car, when you go on this express road, sometimes it stops. If you are lucky, your dashboard will tell you, check engine. If you are lucky, you see the check engine. Sometimes you don't even see it. It will happen. Sometimes your tire just bursts. So many things happen when you are in motion. That could happen for mechanical, electrical issues. So I don't want to personally go into apportioning blame or removing blames. What has happened, happened. Investigation was okay. For example, the initial report says 5 people died. Who gave the report? The hospitals. Another one says 6 people died. After a while, the hospitals called them because we wanted to know each person by name, not by number. at the point of checking by name, by manifest, which was ready within 20 minutes after the accident, we discovered it was actually 4. One person was counted twice. So this is another error that would have happened if we had said 4 and we came back to say 5. That would be another issue. So I think what lesson we are learning is that we are putting up a system that we remove. It's because we are making it public. If things are happening and things are being hidden, you will not even know the severity of many of these things. I vowed when I took this job less than 2 years ago, nothing will be hidden. The system will be fixed. Everything possible will be corrected. With funds and with little funds or whatever resources, we will put in the best and come out with the best rail system. Right now, just about last month, we issue about 150 or 180 standard operating procedures. There are ways things should be done. There are ways things should not be done. So if you see something happening continuously, you have to check. The previous 2 incidents in Warri, November 1 and November 8, 2000, were vandalization. Result of vandalization. And we caught some of the people involved. They were caught for us by the herdsmen in the bush. Guess what? We got only 2 years jail time after taking them from Warri to be prosecuted in Lagos. Immediately after that, the second one happened in Itakpe. It was also vandalization. Nobody has been caught. What have we done? We have put in security systems to address that. But that will not rule out the fact that we owe Nigerians much more responsibility and responsibility of the duty of care. And that will provide.
MD, we'll continue with this conversation. We know it's a conversation everybody is interested in. But we want to touch base with what's going on the Asaba Benin Road, where I'm sure you hear that.
Yeah.
So a gentleman, Kingsley Osenwigwe, is the chairman of Igboba Hall Youth Association, is standing by. We'll come back to MD of the NRC. But Mr. Kingsley, good morning and welcome to the program. Kingsley, can you hear me? All right, I understand network issues. Bukola.
So I'm glad that the conversation is taking a life of its own. I mean, we began this particular segment by showcasing what's happening on the Benin-Agbo Road. And we also saw Benin-Ore Road yesterday. And on these roads, what we find are articulated vehicles. On my way to work this morning, there was a diversion, an unusual diversion from the Car Park C junction of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Vehicles were, driving and taking the one-way route, suggesting that there was a challenge ahead. And most of the vehicles on the road at that particular point in time are articulated vehicles. And so this leads me to ask, what is the freight capacity of the different portions of the NRC, the Lagos-Itakpe, Lagos-Ibadan rail line, the Abuja-Kaduna rail line? How far are we from decongesting the highways? Because this also borders on maintenance, such that we can now have increased patronage of, products that should be taken off of the roads to the rail line for alternative transportation.
Thank you very much. You're talking of the multimodality of mobility system. It is expected that bulk goods with weight and moving longer distances are expected to be moved by the rail. The pipelines used for the AKK pipe, that is the Abuja-Kaduna gas pipeline system, was moved by rail from Warri. It landed at the port, moved by road to the air station at Warri. From Warri, Jovu, it was moved to Abuja. Itakpe. From Itakpe, it was moved by road again. That tells you a dysfunctional system. The ideal thing is for the port to be connected to the rail to be connected to the port. So for Lagos roads, the rails in Lagos are connected to the Apapa port. And there is provision in this year's budget to take that connection to Tinkan port. There is also plan to connect the Warri-Itakpe line to the Warri port and the Port Harcourt train line to the Onne port. And that's why somebody was referring to rail to nowhere. So that is the corrections we are putting in place. The narrow gauge was connected either, but the standard gauge was not connected, completely connected until the administration of this current administration. Now, the ideal thing, another thing I need to say before I say the ideal thing is that when we had the November 1 incident, passengers were given double the amount of the paid for the ticket for the train to travel from Owa-Oyibu, that is Agbo, to Warri. They refused the money. They said they would rather wait for us to complete the track restoration and travel the next day by the same train to Warri because they will not want to go by the road. We asked why. They said the road is bad. The road is not safe. So that is the preference for rail all over the world. That is the job of rail. In our own system, we are developing it. It used to be there. The Western Line, Lagos to Kano, Kaduna, Nguru, Karuna, Naboda, off to Zamfara, off to Yobe. Then the Western Line from Lagos, from Port Harcourt to Makurdi, Makurdi to Maiduguri, and the Maiduguri at the point spear over back to Kano. That is how we used to move, and that is the way we should move. We are working now to move wet products as well on the narrow gauge Lagos to Kano. There is effort going on there, and there is already opticals showing interest. We are also working, we currently move cement from Papaland to Ilorin. We move coils, we move products from Lagos on the both narrow gauge and standard gauge to Ibadan. So there are ops going on along the rail corridor. So a lot of things are happening, not just Warri, Itakpe, or Abuja, Kaduna. Now, we're extending Abuja, Kaduna now to Kano, and Kano to Maradi. By 2027, people will be able to move goods from Abuja straight to the border of the Niger Republic, the landlocked of the Niger Republic. In the next 12 months, if we get what we are looking for and we get it right, the narrow gauge will come back fully, and people will be able to move goods from Lagos straight to Kano. And from Kano, they can move to Kaura Namoda or go to Nguru. Now, in the process, I need to travel to Zamfara. We are also looking at reactivating another 19 kilometers of rail line just close to the University of, I think it's the University in Kusa. So there are so many things going. We have a plan to further deepen the connection. We are just at 4,000.
You didn't mention Southern Nigeria.
Pending that infrastructure.
Sorry, I need to do that because that's a very contentious issue.
Please.
Okay.
Now, there is a plan to move the Lekki Deep Seaport, a rail line from Lekki Deep Seaport to Shagan. And the line can go, we go eastward to Benin, Benin to Onitsha, Onitsha to the other eastern part. Then it will go westward towards Kajola to join the Lagos Kano line. All these are funding.
So no south-south.
South-south. South-south.
You mentioned southeast. You didn't mention south.
I know you're concerned about Cross River.
The central line, that is the Warri Itakpe line, is already in the south side. It serves a lot of the people on that train are actually going to Bayelsa and River States. You will be shocked.
Thank God you mentioned,
and then there's also,
you mentioned River State. The Rotimi Amechi monorail, moribund constructed, you know the rail I'm talking about. You know the monorail. Is there any plan at all?
No, that's the state's responsibility.
No, I'm saying, I know. Because we're talking about she's talking about decongesting, mobility in terms of whatever can be done. For instance, Lagos has all kinds of
I can tell you what the federal government is doing with some states and what some states are doing. States like Lagos, Lagos runs the red line on the same line with
exactly. That's what I'm trying to refer to.
So what we have is railing with the states. Okay. Plateau is doing it. Plateau is enjoying it. They are running a rail system now from Jos to Bukuru and very soon to go to Kuru. Now, in the case of Lagos, Lagos also has a blue line. But the federal government, in anticipations of the difficulty that may be faced, has also decided to partner with the states. Now, the Kano Metro Rail is also supported by the federal government. And then they also have the Kaduna, then you have the Lagos Green Line.
At River State.
No, I'm coming. I now have the Lagos Green Line. If you look at it, 60% of the mobility movement in Nigeria is among just 5 states in terms of moving so much people. The same thing with the fuel consumption. So what you do is to address issue of intra-city mobility and intercity mobility. So it is responsibility of the states. But because of capacity and cost, the federal government is now doing what you call the New Hope Metro Rail, Mega Rail system, and that is going to stay. So it's starting with Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, and possibly
most of those things are exciting, but pending when the infrastructure upgrade that you have expatiated on can be achieved, what about mobility of goods from small-scale industry? Because if there are results, it will be significant and it will be seen on the highways in the congestion of the roads. Because I recall our conversation with the last MD, and some of the concerns that he raised was the cost of freight services, which small-scale industries shy away from. Has that been addressed?
No,
we have only 30 seconds.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
You can also
Okay,
just speak
just
to compensation for the families of Itakpe, because we hear, it's part of your recommendations, but we hear that those families have not gotten compensation yet. Please,
that's one of the reasons why the report took some time to come out, because we have to not only identify the people that were deceased, their next of kin, and the people that were injured. We have completed identifying the deceased next of kin. We have visited them more than twice to ascertain. We have met them in family setting, and it is now fully examined. For those who are injured, only 3 are still receiving some form of care. For the care they received before discharging, we took 100% responsibility, courtesy of the Delta State government. For those who require subsequent surgery, we have taken that responsibility, and we are doing that. So that, we call it the family support system, and we are also working on this with the NSIB. They are supervising the implementation.
Managing Director of the NRC, thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it. We're speaking with the Managing Director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation, Dr. Itakpe-Warri. Thank you for coming.